Well, I feel like a lot of us, we date the potential of what the person could become. So you see this individual and you're like, wow, they have all these great things, right? And then you're like, oh, these kind of like things aren't so great. Let's see how we can fix these not so great things. The problem is that the person has to want to fix not those great things, right? And if they don't want to tap into why those things exist and why they're not so great, then here we go thinking that we can go and change the not so great things so that it can kind of like, so the person could be more molded to what you believe is better match for you, right? But that doesn't exist. That person is not there.
All right, sis.
What's going on, prima?
Damn, look at you with that red lip. Let us know where your red lip is from.
Fancy. Yo, you know that's
shout out
your
to Riri. That is my
Your girl
ultimate
crush?
girl crush. Like, for real. Hubby knows that is the one girl.
She got the best.
I'ma leave your ass for Riri.
I love her lipstick line, for real, for real.
For real, for real.
Her
Shorty
makeup
got it.
line is pretty
Fashion, like her lingerie.
Billionaire.
She doing it. And she a billionaire. Yeah, and she first made the billion and then had the children. And now she's just going back to back with it. That's my girl.
I love that. I'm happy for her too. She's in a good way. Today I'm a little bit I must be honest with the guests. Well, happy Father's Day for all the dads, right? In the world. I miss
Today
my
is Father's
daddy.
Day that we are recording.
Yes. So by the time you see this, it won't be Father's Day, but shout out to the dads that do their thing. Ironically, with the subject that we're talking about today, which is, am I dating or am I conducting interviews? I think I just had a little rough patch in my relationship, or I feel like I've been in this funk for a while now. And it's life, right? Like sometimes you have good days and some days are bad. And today I woke up a little bit sad, bad.
Right. Shout
So
out
if
to
I
you,
cry.
boo, for showing up. That's really what it is, though. We're not Soul y Sazón for nothing, right?
Right.
We came up with this name for that reason.
Yeah.
And I think that one of our main things in wanting to bring this project together was really showing some raw shit.
Right.
So the fact that you still showed up feeling how you're feeling is the reason why a lot of audience members out there are going to gravitate, you
Right.
know? Thank you for being you and still showing up,
Thank you.
regardless of what space you're in.
Yeah. A little bit, I don't know, thinking of my dad, thinking of the space that I'm in, thinking of why dating has been so hard for me, thinking about having a partner, like, you know, is it for me? Is it not for me? Like, am I just better off alone? Although life is not really meant to be alone. You're supposed to cultivate life with somebody else. So a lot of that, a lot of those thoughts, but pressing forward, like, some days are hard, bro. And today I just miss my dad.
Let's give that space, right? Let's give Dionine that space. And for being the man that made you feel safe. I think you said in another episode that that was the last time you felt safe. So shout out to the men that are really doing that and really impacting their children the way that Theo did for you.
Yes.
So with that being said, I think that allows you, right? You talk about your dad a lot when you talk about dating and finding the man that you would want. But there's this idea of what we should be looking for, which we touched on another episode. But why do you think we felt it was important to raise this question of, are we dating or are we conducting interviews?
Well, I think that's part of it, right? Like, I think that what we need to realize in dating is that you are conducting some form of an interview. And as crazy as it sounds, like, you want to see if this person that you're going to ultimately spend the rest of your life with, or, you know, you would like to have this person as your partner.
Right.
If that person has the right criteria, credentials, for the job, right? And I think that comes with what are your must and your must-haves? What are your, like, you know, what do you call it all the time, prima? You always say the word and I'm like, what does she call it? She always says, what are your
Oh, non-negotiables.
Shout out to Mr. Duncan. The non-negotiables. And I think that when you're mature enough, right, because I didn't know what that was in my 20s, right? When you're mature enough to understand that, then you are conducting interviews to see if this other person is going to be fit for the position. But now it's more intentional because now you kind of know what are your negotiables and non-negotiables. So how do we get there?
Right.
How do we even tap into that? I don't even know.
I love a question that we have here, and it's, I guess, a point that we wanted to make is, when did we realize, because I feel like we can both relate on this, on picking up projects versus partners in conducting these interviews and trying to find the right project for our lives in a sense of who do I want to do life with, right? But we end up with people that we decide to mold into the person that we want. Instead of, I think it's hard because it's like, okay, paying attention to your non-negotiables, you're like, all right, the negotiables, in a sense, I can maybe build, or I hate using the word fix because I just don't even want to say that to myself, that I want to fix someone, but molding them into more of who you want. But I feel like we can both relate that we were molding a little bit too much and fixing a little bit too much. So I guess, when was the time you realized you were fixing someone, right?
Well, I feel like a lot of us, we date the potential of what the person could become. So you see this individual and you're like, wow, they have all these great things, right? And then you're like, oh, these kind of like things aren't so great. Let's see how we can fix these not so great things. The problem is that the person has to want to fix not those great things, right? And if they don't want to tap into why those things exist and why they're not so great, then here we go thinking that we can go and change the not so great things so that it can kind of like, so the person could be more molded to what you believe is better match for you, right? But that doesn't exist. That person is not there. And the potential, right? So many of us go for the potential or the what if. And you try to take the good and bad out of people. I think that I always remember the last time you tell me, like, what are you willing to sacrifice? And I'm like, well, you're not going to get perfect, right?
Right.
So what are you willing to negotiate on? But there are just some things that are not negotiable. And I think that when you realize what those things are, that's when you really start perhaps conducting better interviews or asking better questions.
Right. Because we giving the jobs away too easily.
Correct.
Like, maybe we just got to look into the resume, the life resume, a little bit more. Which I did to also talk about. I have a tool that I like to call my life resume. Because I'm like, listen, if I was to not be with my partner and be dating again, like, we're dating with intention. This ain't no joke, right? Like, we're not at that age anymore. So it's like, there's certain things that I want to see and we got to talk about on the first date. I don't care. Like, we got to put it out there.
Damn, you're going scuba diving day one?
Scuba diving. What else you trying to do? I'm tired of floating. We not doing that.
We ain't snorkeling.
So,
I just want to do a little snorkel.
Listen.
You
Okay.
like, bring in the full gear. We're going deep.
Come on. Right? Y'all already know I'm also just a deep person as it is.
True.
So we've already figured it out. Who's the soul and who's the sazón, I think. But no, we've got a little bit of both. And I think that that's really where it comes down to. But
you want to go deep scuba diving in the beginning.
Yeah, there's this question of like, I want to make sure I'm creating connection with someone and not just carrying someone's workload. And I feel that because I'm typically the person that is a people pleaser, that is a nurturer, that is a caregiver, that just wants to take everybody under my wing, like, I have to be very careful about that. Like, at what point do I say, okay, I'm supporting my partner, or there's a fine line between I'm supporting my partner and I'm carrying their workload?
It's so funny you say that. My mom used to always tell me, no te vaya alante del hombre. No te vaya alante del hombre. And what she meant by that is, don't go ahead of the man. And I think sometimes we find the project that we're working on, and because we want to be nurturing, caring, and let me help you and take you under my wing, we kind of like want to fix
Right.
the stuff that, perhaps they need to fix on their own because we can't go ahead of the man.
Absolutely.
The man has to kind of like figure it out. And I think that sometimes when we want to come in with our nurturing spirit and our I got you, because you want your partner to feel like we got you, don't think that you're on this alone. Some of that then becomes they get too comfortable and then they don't want to go ahead no more. They just gonna sit back because they know you're gonna do the job.
So it's also about checking ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
And saying, hold up, you making it a little bit too easy. You're making it a little bit too easy. And that's what starts feeling like a project then. Because it's like, hold up, without me, this project is not complete. Without me, this person is not complete. And I really learned there's another metaphor that I tend to use, which is kind of silly, but I don't know why that came up to me or came up for me, but I say it often in sessions. And it's, you are already a great tasting cup of like hot chocolate. The people, the external factors in your life, so the people you choose to be in your tribe, your surrounding energy, they're like the whipped cream to that hot chocolate. So it's like, damn, the hot chocolate was already good, but once you add that little, like that just gives it that little touch. But some people try to include the people around them as part of their hot chocolate recipe. And it's like, sis, bro, you should be already a great cup.
All the ingredients.
Exactly. Why? Because now it's like the people that are around you should be complementary to the greatness and the wholeness that you already possess, right? So you already this popping mug of hot chocolate, but you add them little marshmallows, you add that whipped cream, oh, una delicia, right? That's chef's kiss right there. So the people that you have around you are supposed to complement you, make you better, but without them, you can't just feel, and same thing for the partner, right? That partner can't feel that way about you either. Like, yo, si a mí me pasa algo, ¿qué tú vas a hacer con tu vida?
Right.
What's gonna, you know, I think about that all the time. Like, yo, once we have a family, we got kids, like, okay, I could be better at some things, he could be better at some things, but we both gotta work hard enough to have that, like, that enough of that education or knowledge and all of these things that are needed to push forward. God forbid one of your partners is no longer there for whatever reason.
Well, I think that's why we also have to check ourselves to make sure that the relationships are never like one-sided, where you feel, because then resentment is going to come in, right?
Yes.
Damn, I'm tired of her shit. She don't freaking clean. She don't cook. She don't do nothing. Damn, I'm tired of his stuff. He don't pick whatever it is that you're tired of. He don't do this, he don't do that or not. So when you start feeling it's one-sided and the other person's not, pouring into the cup, I love using that concept because it's literally that. I feel like that's what a relationship is. No cup should be ever empty, It should be kind of like a pouring process all the way through. But when you get one-sided, then you get, nah, your cup is full, mine's is empty. I feel like I'm drained and you're chilling, like I'm doing too much of the workload and you're not. So then there's this one-sidedness and then that becomes resentful and then that thing went to shit. The relationship is going to go to shit.
And let's talk about resentment. Because Lord, that word. One of the points that I saw here, right, of this cultural thing that we hear all the time of aguanta. No te divorcio todavía. Aguanta un poquito más. Every man does this. Or, that's just how things go.
That's how marriage is.
That's how marriage is. That you want to be married for 25 years, 30 years. That's just, tú tienes que aguantar. You got to take it easy. And it's like, how do we deal with that pressure? Like, where do you find the balance of, I'm going to be patient because, again, we talked about in another episode, every relationship deserves growth and change. Absolutely.
And patience.
And patience, yeah. And then where is that silver lining there of like, okay, now I've been a little too patient. The time is ticking. Like, we've been patient. We've been holding off. We've been making the space. We've been having the conversations. When do we realize this is it? The hard topic, the hard question, or the hard word of divorce maybe should be thrown out there. Because a lot of people been having these feelings for a long time, but they can't find the right time to just bring it up.
Well, then that brings me to the whole sacrificial part, right? Like, once you get married, like, isn't that like I don't know, I'm divorced, right? So clearly my marriage didn't work. but I also was under different circumstances. It wasn't like I met somebody and I had your typical like 2-year process or a year dating and boom, we kind of like get to know this person. I got married in 6 months. Like who, you don't know nobody in 6 months. So, but if you get there, right, you've invested some time with Gabe, you guys are focused, you're married, you're doing this, you're intentional, you're putting in the work. Aren't we supposed to como aguantar la mierda? Aren't we supposed to kind of like push through? Isn't that what my mama did? Like, and Jesus Christ, I don't know if I want what my mama had. Like,
and
and I love my dad.
The interesting thing about our family, the interesting thing about our family is that we've seen both. We've seen the women that stay.
Yeah.
And we've seen a lot of the women go real quick. So, and we found, and then we also have the women that waited a long time, but eventually were able to make that, right? And actually, I think more women in our tias left than the ones that stayed, even though they stayed around for a while.
Yeah.
So like for us, we had that connotation of like, it was not that divorce was looked down upon, but it was, well, no, I'm saying from our tias, because they were actually the ones that were like, fuck this, like, I don't want this, I don't need, and guess what? They showed all these men, shout out to our tias, because they showed all these men, life moved on with or without y'all. Like, we raised our children with or without y'all, and we all turned out pretty damn good. You know, at that point, I'm like, okay, for the time that they're coming from, they actually were not just following the norm. So it's tricky because for us, we had the shame. Well, not the shame, but we had the aguanta, but we also had the, all right, but if you're done aguantando, like divorce is not necessarily a terrible thing. Like it can happen and it's fine. You know, like I don't think it was like, don't get a divorce. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah.
Well, for I think with the religion aspect was a little different, right? So
yeah.
My mom was
not all of them got married to the church,
right? But my mom was so like, you know how it is. We were raised in the church, and she was very Christian, and like, you know, divorce is like not. Well, the reason I got married was because I got pregnant. So it was like, tiene que tapar one sin.
Yeah.
Tiene que tapar el pecado with the marriage so that you're not living in sin. And you're like, well, we already cheated. Like we already did this out of wedlock. So why are we gonna get married we already happened. Like we already did the sin. So we get this marriage thing going, and it's like you have to kind of stay because of the church, right? But when is it no longer serving you or feeding you or your purpose, your life, your
right,
you as an existence as a human being? Like just because who is this? You have to. What if it just doesn't work? And what if it's just no longer compatible and you want to say F the culture, right? Or F whatever they said, or, you know, and we don't want to say F God because that's not what we want to do. But a part of you is like, I don't want to do what the religion does either. You know, I want to do what I feel is right for me, what I feel was next best for me in my life.
I think the question that comes up as you're speaking is, are you living by your standards or your family standards? And for those that come from a culture or a family that lives by certain standards, because even though our tias, you know, might have divorced and stuff like that, that didn't mean that the minute you brought up leaving someone, they just be like, yeah, sure. You know what I mean? There was still this like, you sure? You know, you sure? But Pamela, tú sabes cómo tú eres like agresiva, like we're all very strong character. You gotta, you know, you gotta take it easy también because tú no eres fácil. And it's like, okay, mom, but you know, I don't know. I kind of felt like, sis, you raised me. Like, don't you think that the level of strong I saw in you, you don't think that I would try to make it work? And that if I'm telling you that I made this decision, it's because of what you showed me?
Right. Like
you know, actually, you know, I remember that mommy always told me, like, when I was dating my ex and we were it was not a healthy relationship. We would break up, make up, break up, make up. And mommy was like, mija, yo creo como que yo te crié, pero te crié demasiado independiente, like demasiado fuerte. Like, she's like, I think I got you to a point where you felt so independent that you felt you didn't need anybody. And she's like, although that's not a bad thing in a relationship, sometimes you gotta slow down and you can't just be like, I don't need you, bye. My mom ain't need nobody, so bye. I don't need you either.
Yeah, no, that's not the right approach either.
So I think that for her, and I think this is where like the evolution of like mental health and thinking further than just what your parents told you and the generations told you. Slowly, she moving like a turtle, but we moving forward, right? And slowly she's showing me that she's thinking differently, right? So even when she said that, I was like, damn, like, okay, I hear her. I hear that, right? Granted, that still wasn't the person for me, but the fact that she even had that, her own like revelation when it came to that, I was like, damn, like, yeah, finding that balance is really tough of like, this is my time to go now. Because I was also quick to run away and then come back. So I'm like, all right.
There's a lot of cultural things that they put on us regarding timelines and our personalities and our traits. And we're like first generation here. So we're trying to be our parents' teachers, because we got to teach you this language, teach you this system that we're still trying to figure out, because we literally don't belong here. We belong in another country. And we're trying to do that for you and still evolve as females, be strong, go through this educational process, get these jobs, be successful, but then be soft and caring and nurturing and shut it down when you're supposed to and turn it on when you're not supposed to. And that's hard too in its essence. And when we are so strong and we are so independent and we come across with, you know what, I can kind of do this on my own. I don't need nobody. It's not so much that we don't need nobody. It's that who's going to come into our life has to be complementary to who we are. So sometimes when we allow this person to come in, it no longer compliments us and it takes away our shine, our joy, our glory, and we're no longer glowing. You're now like, ooh, I don't know if that relationship is really doing her justice, because have you seen her lately? Está como apagada. And
that
that
really
part.
does show. Hell yeah, that's actually a thing. Yo, I will never. You even told me that. Like when I started dating, like I lost weight. I got, I had weight loss
You got your
surgery
pixie
done.
cut.
I had my pixie cut. I was a brand new woman, and that healed version of myself led to me meeting Gabe. And I remember when I started putting pictures up on social media, everyone was like, Pam, there is a glow to you, honey. Like there is a glow. This man, this vibe, this boom, like is doing you. And I'm just like, damn, but you know what? I actually took a year and a half of after I went through a very traumatizing breakup per se with my previous partner. And it took me a year and a half of reliving moments in my relationship and healing and seeing how where could I have changed something? Where should I have set the limit? Where could I have put the stop sign? Like all these things. And then when I started dating, I actually allowed myself to date. Like when I'm talking, like my friends would laugh at me all the time, like, sis, you really be on the phone with all these men. I'm like,
Yeah. You have to give them time to figure out.
I'm literally getting to know these people. I'm not just going to dinner. That's what, 45 minutes? Nah. we talking. Like, and we not just doing this small like text talk.
Clearly, because you're going scuba diving.
Right. Clearly, we made that very clear. Sis wanna go. Okay, what is it, Scuba Steve from the from Happy Gilmore, that movie? Anyway, so yeah, so like it really came down to that. And that's why I always talk about this negotiable, non-negotiable tool.
Did you ever go through like your list of like, you're going through everything you went through your previous relationship and all of the, I guess like everything that happened, the good, the bad, like, the whole story, and realize that perhaps, damn, I struggled with this yet again in this relationship? Did you ever realize that you did perhaps the same thing again? And then you realize, oh my God, that's me. And that has nothing to do with that person.
Yeah. Like you feel, you realize your own patterns. You realize your own patterns. I actually didn't even realize how emotionally dependent, because I was independent when it came to, at 22, I moved out of Jersey. I went to Connecticut on my own. From 22 to 28 or 29, when I got back home, I was living on my own. I was paying my own bills. I was doing everything myself. But the only thing I was not independent on was emotionally. And that's when emotional availability became a non-negotiable, because I'm not doing that for somebody else. I'm not giving that person that power. And I don't want to have that power of somebody else's emotional
That
availability.
reminds me of, I remember I was dating this doctor once. Vamos a decirle doctorcito.
Okay, doctorcito. Ni ese sirvió pana. Yeah.
And he, being emotionally available, he wanted me to be emotionally available for his needs. Unfortunately, he wasn't available himself because he was in a situation. So when he went to go look for the emotional support, I gave it to him. And I didn't realize how willing I was so often to be so available for so many people that needed me emotionally. And that's when, your friends, your people that love you made me realize, you give too many people access to who you are.
Right.
And not everybody deserves your energy and your time.
Absolutely.
So what is the blueprint? How do we know which is the person that deserves the time or not? Like, what is lo que estamos buscando?
Well, I'm going to say this. When you're dating, just based off of my experience, when I started dating again intentionally, one of the tools that I use is we do these 3 columns. So it's negotiables, non-negotiables, and the blueprint. The blueprint is what your ideal. First of all, the catch to all of this is I'm going to need you to print a list of personality traits, character traits. We don't fall in love with people as a whole. You're always
character traits of what? Of the person that you want to be with, or of you?
Well, that's what I'm going to say. So we are all a component of personality traits. So when people say, I'm the kind of person that, there is not one exact person that is exact to the other. We are pieces put together. And these pieces are personality traits, right? So you could be honest. You could be outgoing. You could be what's another personality? Yeah. So you have these lists, right? Because we don't even have the idea, right? It doesn't even pop up for us right now. We're not, again, in our age, we weren't taught to be emotionally intelligent. So these things don't just pop up. Maybe our kids are going to be able to come up with these a lot quicker. But I print out a list. What pieces do you want in a person? Your ideal person, whether it's your friend, your partner, your family. What pieces of people
is important for you?
That's your blueprint. Because guess what? That person, like you said before, probably doesn't exist. The perfect person for you.
Correct.
Right? So you do this. That's your blueprint. Your negotiables and your non-negotiables, you're also adding from this list. What are the things that are absolutely a no-no?
From the traits that you listed?
From the personality traits.
Okay.
Then you got your list. I want to make it very clear. Your negotiables, things you can live with. If that person never changes that, are you still going to be able to be around that person? Okay? Somebody's like, oh.
So if they snore for the rest of their life, I can't be with nobody that snores for the rest of their life.
A negotiable does not mean, oh, I'm okay with it for now, and you're hoping that in 5 years they're going to switch it up because you don't like it. That's not a negotiable. A negotiable is you're taking that right now, that person
as is, and that's okay with you.
In case that person never changes that, you cannot, because that's just growing resentment. Your non-negotiable things, and we talked about this in another episode, things you absolutely cannot be flexible around. Again, if that person doesn't possess that, if they don't pick it up in a couple years after being with you, are you going to start holding resentment for that person? And then based on this list of yours, you actually start realizing if certain friends, if certain partners, if certain family members are people that you look at your blueprint. If most of your blueprint is not covered by that person, you're not making the best choice. Right?
Even if that person is your friend or partner, you're saying that's not a good friend, or that might not be the best partner, friend, even your business partner, right? For you to do business with, because they don't have these non-negotiables that you might need from a person that you're trying to develop any type of relationship with.
Yes. So, and I think the biggest thing to get out of this is, can we start noticing how it starts with you, boo? It starts with your self-awareness. Forget about, I need to find the person that, I need this person that. No, you need to figure yourself out. And you need to understand what your blueprint is and what you are willing. So now you're checking off, right? That person has this, that person has this. Okay, I have 10 personality traits on my blueprint. This person covers 8. Whether it's my friend, because this is another thing. We're so quick to talk about relationships as romantic, but we don't talk about toxic friendships as much. We don't talk about toxic family relationships, right? So it's the same thing. How you love one person is how you have one relationship is typically how you have many relationships. Yes. And I will say that I have challenged that many times with myself, with clients, most of the time, how you have one relationship, but it looks different. Mm-hmm. It comes out a lot more in a romantic relationship because you're in constant interaction with that person, right? It's like you're hitting the same point when you're talking to someone consistently than when you see them once a week.
Claro.
It might not be as a parent,
That
right?
makes sense.
So all those things like have to do with who needs to be in your tribe, period. Based on that. So when you're doing your interviews and you're dating, that's what I want people to start being, what I think we should start being more conscious of.
If I was to ask you, what are your character traits on your blueprint? Like if you were to tell me to do this assignment, what am I supposed to tell you? What I like about myself, or what traits that I have that I would like from another person? I would like for this person to be social, charismatic, somebody that can have a conversation. I'm okay with passive. I don't want the person to be as hyped as I am. I'm too hype.
Yeah, we need the ones that trust me.
Don't bring me somebody hype, because we can't be too hyped.
Let's go. Okay, that's what happened with you and your brother. Y'all both just too hype. Okay?
Too much.
That's why I said family relationships too. They count.
So I go in my life creating this list, and I'm supposed to then kind of like analyze, wow, these are the characters and the traits that I appreciate from people, from other humans. These are the things that I value in other humans that make me work well with these people with these traits. And ideally, we're supposed to pick people or partners that have more of this.
Yes, ma'am.
So how do we figure out what is more of this? How do we make the list? Like, that's so hard, like to reassess and find out, like, what do you want? What are your needs? That's why I'm like, so much of this work is internal versus external.
Yes, it sure is. I think that it always just, so much of it has to do with self-journey. And that's why even when someone is wanting to do couples work or family work, that individual work is still so necessary. Because how can you figure out how to be in a healthy relationship with someone when you don't even know what someone should have in order to be in a relationship with you? You know, this is I just came across this reflection question. And am I asking for something I cannot offer myself? Right? So if a non-negotiable is honesty, I need you to be honest about everything. Are you also going to be honest no matter what? Are you? Or does it start having, when it comes to you, it's like, oh no, because that's different, because da 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 da. Oh, but if your partner was to tell you that wouldn't be cool.
So it's what you need, but you can't give.
Right. Like if you gotta receive it, if it's a non-negotiable, you gotta be willing to give it. Come on, like, all right, there's certain things like you said, right? I'm social. I want somebody that's social, but they don't have to be hype. Okay, right? That doesn't matter. You can give hype and that person don't got to give you hype. But there's certain things that we have to be very careful about. Those values like trust, respect, da da da. And not only that, I could talk about this for days. What does trust mean? What does respect mean? Is respect that you don't want to be cursed at when you're talking to?
Right.
Somebody might not care about you cursing, but somebody might find it disrespectful if you're speaking loud, right? Some person might not care that you're speaking loud because they grew up in a Spanish household where we grew up with microphones in our throats. Like, you don't know. You have to define what certain words mean for you. And my clients that are going to be looking at this, they're probably going to be laughing because I made each and every single one of them do all this work. So they like, damn, Pam, now I got to tell you what this means. But it's funny because they don't know.
No.
They don't know.
None of us do. Like, you're asking me this blueprint, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, what? Now I got to go home and make a list?
Listen, let this
one my dating sucks.
If in a year we go into a Shira's wedding and it's because she made to Pam's coaching program. That's how
I found my boo.
Right. So yes, that is actually one of the tools that I do with my clients in my program. And I've taken a break from my program because I'm really focused on getting my license so that I can branch off and do better things. But the point that I want to finish with in regards to that, it all started with my healing journey. And I had a depressive episode in 2021 where I couldn't even accept. It took me like 6 months to accept that I was suicidal at that point. Not on some, I had a plan to do something, but if something happened to me, I don't care. I would just wake up and feed the dog. There was like a 3 or 4 day period that I didn't shower, that I didn't care to get up from that bed. And it was during COVID. So we were already home. And
this was after or before I picked you up from the park?
Oh my God.
Remember the park?
God, girl. Like I'm gonna me voy a enojar because I remember that you were there for that season.
I remember that day.
And that was a very pivotal point of my life in so many ways. And it warms my heart that I'm able to do for others.
Amen.
I'm able to give other people the self-awareness that I actually gave myself. And let me tell y'all, like, actually feeling a breakup, feeling the loss of someone that you really love and that you envision a future with, that shit is hard. But healthy is harder than unhealthy, because I could have just went on to somebody else. I could have just moved on to another person. I could have just rebounded. And I knew that that wasn't the right choice. But I also knew that in making the choice to heal, I was going to reach a peak that I had never reached in my life. And a lot of things went wrong. It wasn't just my relationship. My breakup had happened before, but the crazy thing that happened that led to me truly understanding this person would never be in my life again happened January 2020 when I got this news. And I'll probably share that in another episode. But 2020, that was before COVID. So my year already started off a little salty, and then COVID came, and then I almost didn't graduate, and then I had issues with my friends. I went through a very like thing that depleted me, like my self-esteem with my friends, and so many things just went left during that year.
I remember
so many things that my mental health took such a crazy toll. And that's when I decided to leave Connecticut. I came home and I picked myself up. And the crazy thing is that I was on Hinge, and that's where I met my hubby. And after that 3-4 day period that I didn't shower, that I was going through my depressive episode, I want to say 2 or 3 days later,
he hit you up.
Was that I connected with him on Hinge.
Oh,
and
that's beautiful.
I'm telling you right now, if I was not the healed version, if I was not in the place that I was there where I was looking for different things, I would have not have swiped right on my husband.
Right.
I would have been too carried about what I thought I needed and wanted, not what I actually deserved.
I think that's half the battle, right? Understanding what your true needs are and what you need in order to succeed in any type of relationship. And a lot of that is internal work, and internal work is hard. To look at yourself and realize that perhaps there are areas in your life that you need to fix, that you need to look within and say, damn, that's me. I got to fix that. And why did I choose that again? And damn, I'm going to have to go therapy again for that again, because I keep doing it again. And who wants to do that work? A lot of people don't want to put in that work because it's so hard to see some of your truths. But I always tell people, go do that work, because you're expecting so much from your other person, yet you don't even know who you are at your core. What can you give? What can you not give? So you want all that? Wow, that's a lot of work. That's a lot to ask from somebody that can't even give it. I do have my question.
Let us know. Let
me see. Pero before I ask you this question, I want to give you your flowers. I love giving people their flowers in the season that they're in. When I picked you up from that park, you were not in a good space. And you didn't even look like the who you look like now.
I was on the floor in the park, and I called her. I was on the floor. No picnic. This ain't no picnic style sheet on the floor. I was on the grass and the dirt.
Yeah.
And she picked me up.
I did. I picked you up. And I remember seeing you so distraught. I remember calling Tia too and trying to figure out how you were going to get out of this funk. And what I do remember is I think I reached out to you again, but I saw the change and I saw the work. And in life, you have to give people their flowers. And I just want to say that you did a great job with putting yourself together.
Thank you.
And doing the work that you needed to do, and continue that. I think that you're on that on the right journey.
Listen, it's a lifelong journey. That's one thing I tell people in therapy all the time. It don't end here. Just because you got discharged from me or we're not working together anymore, man, those tools that I do with you, you're going to use them over and over. I still use them all the damn time. I'm still growing every single day. But I do want to say, as the last thing before the question, is my drop moment for saying yes to my husband at the time that I met him was I gave it was one date at a time.
I love that.
Date one, I said, okay, I'll give it to date two. I don't know what's gonna happen after that, but he's good enough to go to the next round. Or I felt the energy good enough to go to the next round. But the reason why the dates kept coming is because I started focusing on how I felt around him, not how I felt about him. And how I felt about him wasn't up to par, right, to what I was used to getting. The pretty boy, dressed up, nice fit. That wasn't my husband. My husband was real chill. Like, there's like a nerdy component to him that I love now. But I liked my thugs. I liked my,
sense of style.
And I probably would have continued to allow myself to be led by that. That wasn't husband material for me though. So I'm like, yo, but every time I'm around this man, I feel better about myself. I don't have to question. I don't have to think I'm extra. I don't have to be like, damn, am I doing too much? Truly, I felt I loved myself more when I was around him because he loved every aspect of me that I was in that moment. And like, damn, yo, that was such a thing for me. Like,
you felt chosen.
Sis, why are you we're so concerned about how we feel about people. And it's like, how does that person make you feel about yourself? And even today, I tell him all the time, I'm like, yo, because he met me gordita. That was before my weight loss surgery. And he's like, put that backless shirt on. You better put that outfit on. Like, you look good, babe. You look good. Stop. Like, you look great. And put your revealing stuff on. Like, I want you to feel good being you. And damn, yo, that did it. That man could have been all types of dorky. That man could have just...
He could have been like the dorky Where's Waldo?
He thought the damn superheroes on his wall was gonna cut it after he did all that. Nah, boo, you saying right here. And here we are today. So again, my mic drop, and my friends say that all the time, like, damn, Pam, that's so deep. But it's like I started focusing on how I felt around him and not how I felt about him. I mean, how I felt, about
how he made you feel when you were in his company.
Yes.
How you felt when you were with him is what's most important.
So that's what I want to leave y'all with.
How do I feel
around
that person
instead of about that person?
Okay. What part of you felt validated by being the fixer or the provider? And how did that serve you or sabotage you? When you had to do the fixer, when you had to be the fixer, if you ever had to be the fixer, how did that serve you or how did that sabotage you?
Damn. I tended to be in relationships where I think my anxiety has just led me to have a lot of my shit together. She's my bestie, but she could also be my enemy because she'd be doing too much sometimes. But I felt like that was a sense of control that I think I inherited from our family.
Yeah.
There was a sense of control that, like, I'm just gonna do. And if I was in control, I felt that the relationship was great. Like, I linked me making sure everything was okay to the relationship being a good relationship.
Because you were in control of it.
Yes.
Because you were fixing it.
Yes. And I was in constant, like, with my past relationship, I did a lot for that person. Like, I handled, a good amount of things. But at the same time, I had my shit together. So it was like, but it also sabotaged me because I felt like then there was very little space for me to feel taken care of and protected. And that's when I'm learning, I think I said in a previous episode, I'm learning to be a little bit more submissive now with my husband in his own way, right? Because he's more mellow. That man got not one anxious bone in his damn body.
He sure don't.
He is the most unbothered person I have ever met in my life. And he's in the restaurant industry. So when he comes telling me these stories, I'm ready to fight. Like, I'm like, where we gotta go? And he's like, ain't nobody taking that path. Like, ain't nobody getting him off his chillness. So I think that I'm trying to be more submissive because I admire that. I admire that unbothered, that go with the flow that I'm still trying to get at. And letting him lead us and protect me in his way, not in the way that I thought or that I envisioned. Also, he's a grown man in comparison to like my ex. We were younger, right? My previous relationship, we were also younger. I'll say that.
Maturity level.
But at the same time, even for the age we were in, my ex was not as mature.
Right.
My husband has had to endure a lot. So I think for him, he was more grown in the sense of like, I've had to fend for myself for a very long time. So I feel like that's kind of where I feel that, and it's still a battle for me today. It's still a sabotage, validation type of thing for me. So yeah, that was good. That was soulful. All right.
My turn. Let's see what you got.
What's your? I'm trying to think which one the two. What dating advice would you give to your past self with love, but also with a little side eye?
Don't give the second chance. Not everybody deserves it.
How do you tell that younger you what the second, what deserves the second chance?
I think that God has given us women the ability to trust our gut. There's nothing like trusting your gut. I call it like intuition.
Yeah.
Right? Like I feel like God has given women a certain ability to have strong intuition. And as women, sometimes we don't want to follow that. And I feel if it's one of the greatest things that God has given us, yet use the tool. And in my intuition, I knew, nah, bro, that dude can't get another chance. Like, it's not going to work. But you do it. So I would tell the younger version of me is follow your gut. If it's telling you no, then no. You don't have to give it the second chance. Like,
would you say that's also your grown woman dating flex that you didn't have in your 20s? Or you still feel you're battling that?
No, I battle that till this day.
Do you have a grown woman dating flex when you're like, hell no, get out of here?
I think my hell no, get out of here is, no, you're not going to disrespect me. There's no cheating. There is no disrespect. Like, if you don't want to be with me, just tell me. But there's no reason for you to come out of the relationship. Just be honest and be transparent. I think my biggest flex now is tapping into more of myself.
Knowing you the trophy.
That part I have
looking like this at your age, looking like this with a whole 15-year-old.
Right?
All looking of that. Like the older sister.
I love that. But I think it's also an internal journey. Like I have to get there, right? So am I the shit? Yeah, I feel like I'm the shit. Do I know what I have to offer? Yes, I know what I have to offer. But I still battle with the second guessing, like trust your gut. Like, I would continue telling that younger version of me that and this version of me that. Like, so, but we're here dating, I guess.
Yes. And hopefully there were so many like tips and drips and sauce that was thrown in this episode. I honestly hope that in us sharing our situations, I didn't even think I was going to get a little emotional. This episode's a little bit funny, but
you sure did.
I hope that this really served y'all. And, again, fill those 3 columns. What's your blueprint? Print out the personality traits.
Oh my God, yes.
The blueprint, the negotiables, and the non-negotiables. Let us know how that turns out.
The recipe to success. Love y'all.
Love y'all. Thank you for being here with us. Bye.
We hope today's conversation reminded you that you deserve a partner, not a project. And if you ever mistaken a red flag for a challenge, trust me, you're not alone. Your non-negotiables matter. Your peace is not up for discussion. You are not hard to love. You've just outgrown one-sided connections. And let me be clear with something. You are not HR. You are not a life coach, honey, and you're not here to raise grown people. So stop giving full-time benefits to part-time energy. And let me ask you, are you dating or are you still conducting interviews? If this episode called you out or called you in, share it with your group chat and let us know. Are you dating or are you still interviewing? This is Soul y Sazón, where the flavor of the world blends with the stories of the heart. keep showing up with soul and lots of flavor, honey. Love you. Long time.